Welcome to Storytime Counseling. Today we are going to read a book called I Miss You, A First Look at Death by Pat Thomas. And so death is when somebody in our lives has passed away, so meaning that they have left the earth. And so we're going to kind of talk about some of the feelings that may happen when you are experiencing this loss. So, I Miss You, A First Look at Death by Pat Thomas, illustrated by Leslie Harker. Every day someone is born, and every day someone dies. So as you can see, there's a brand new baby. So every day someone is born, and here the little girl is at a cemetery leaving flowers for somebody who has died. Death is a natural part of life. All living things grow, change, and eventually die. When someone dies, their body stops working. They stop breathing and their heart stops beating. They can't think or feel anymore. They don't eat or sleep. So as you can see, the little bird here has died. So their body just kind of stopped working. So he's on the floor. Most birds would be flying, right? And he has stopped breathing. And his heart stopped beating. And so if she were to pick him up, the bird would not feel anything because it just kind of stopped working. In books and in movies, it is usually bad people who die. But in real life, good people die too. So as you can see in the movies, they look like they're kind of happy that this person has died because maybe it was a bad guy. Or here, the pirates, they're killing someone. But like we said, in real life, good people die too. People die for different reasons. Some people die because they're old. Some people get very sick and they die. Some people die because something unexpected and tragic happened to them. So let's think about, what about you? Has anyone you known died? And how did they die? So here it mentions that some people die because they're old, and some people die because they get very sick, and then they die. And there's some people that just die because of accidents and something just really tragic happened to them. Okay, good. Thanks for sharing. After a person dies, there's usually a ceremony called a funeral. So as you can see, this is kind of the funeral going on. They're carrying the body in a nice box with flowers on top to respect the person. At the funeral, people who knew that person can gather together to say goodbye. They may bring flowers, they tell stories, or recite poems. So here they talk about the person who dies, and they talk about all the great things that they've done and how much they loved life and how much all of these people love the person that has gone. So attending a funeral may be very sad, but it's also a celebration to remember the person that has died by telling these stories and telling about all the amazing things that the person has done and who they were. So let's see what else they're going to tell us about death. It can be hard to say goodbye to someone you love. It's normal to miss them very much. So as you can see, the funeral has passed here, but she still misses that person very much. And so, do you think she's feeling happy right now? No, she seems pretty sad, right? She's got her hands on her face. Maybe she's crying. When someone dies, especially if the death is sudden, it's normal to think of things you wish you had said or things you wish you had not said. So that's pretty normal. Sometimes when people die really fast and we feel like we didn't have time to tell them all the things we wanted to, we're going to think about those things, and we're going to think about all the bad things that maybe we did to them. So as you can see here, she's thinking about her grandma, and she's thinking about the time she maybe was not very nice to her. So she probably feels a little bad, right? We see her face. She looks a little worried. She's thinking about why was I so mean to her? Why did I say that to her? But that's completely normal to feel. You may wish you had been nicer or more helpful, but the way you behaved did not make that person die. So that's very interesting to think about, right? So even if we were mean to that person or maybe had a bad day, that doesn't mean that it's our fault that that person died or that we made a bad choice, because sometimes we just do things because that's how we felt that day. But it's not okay to think that that was the reason why they died or feel really guilty about it, right? So if we do feel guilty or we do feel bad, here in the book it says, try to remind yourself that he or she died loving you for who you were, not for the things you did or said. So here it kind of shows grandma, and grandma's very happy and she's making cookies with her. So this is also very true, so that when people do die, they're really not thinking about all the bad things you did to them. They're probably thinking about that amazing person that you are and all the nice and beautiful experiences that you guys had together. When someone you love dies, it can feel as if your heart has been torn in two. It can feel as if part of you is missing. So as you can see here while she's laying in bed, she's crying. She feels kind of sad. She feels like her heart is broken and she's missing that person. These feelings can take a long time to get over. You may feel lots of different sad feelings before you finally begin to feel like yourself again. So during the process of grief and death, you're going to have a lot of different emotions going on. You may feel happy one minute. You may feel kind of mad. Why did they die? Why did this happen to me? You might get really sad. You might get tired and not want to do anything. So what about you? After someone dies, is it normal to feel sad, angry, guilty, afraid, and even happy? Yeah, right? So we just kind of learned that we're going to go through all these different emotions, and that's okay. And so I would like to know, what kind of feelings are you feeling right now listening to this book? Are you happy? Is it making you think about the person that you have lost? Are you kind of mad because they left too soon? Are you really worried about it and sad? So what kind of feelings are you feeling? Thank you for sharing. It's very brave to share our emotions, especially when we have times like this. So great job. When someone you love dies, it can be hard to do all the normal things you did before. You may not feel like seeing your friends or joining in groups. You may feel very alone. So as you can see, everyone here is playing all her friends, and she just doesn't want to be with them right now. Other people may find it hard to talk to you. It's not because they don't care, but because they don't know what to say or do to help. So as you can see here, her friend wants to help her, right? Looks like she wants to help her. She wants to go over there and talk to her, but she doesn't really know what to say. So again, what about you? Do you have someone you can talk to when you're feeling sad? And what sort of things make you feel better right now? So does it make you feel better to see their pictures, maybe play with your friends, watch one of their favorite movies? All right, thank you for sharing. There's a lot we don't know about death. Every culture has different beliefs about what happens after a person dies. So as you can see here, they show different types of cultures, and we can see that through by what they're wearing, right? And the type of things they're doing during a funeral service. So some people, like we mentioned, might recite poems, tell stories, leave flowers in a coffin. Others may pray, right? But most cultures also share some beliefs, like the idea that when a person dies, their soul, the part of them that make them special, takes a journey to join the souls of other people who have passed away. So here they're talking about the soul. And so a soul is the things that make you special, like your personality and the things that you had to offer the world. And so when somebody dies, that part of you doesn't die. It continues to live, but it just goes to a better, happier place. It's not an easy idea to understand. Sometimes it helps if you think of a soul as a single raindrop joining a great big ocean. Even after someone you know or love dies, life goes on. The things you learn from that person stay inside of you and become a part of you. So as we had mentioned before, remember, Grandma kind of taught her how to make these cookies, and now she's able to teach somebody else the things that Grandma taught her, like making the cookies, right? And as time goes on, you'll realize that no one is completely gone as long as you can remember the one you love. So as we talked about, the soul does go away, but it doesn't die. So as long as we can remember that person for all the amazing things that they did, they'll continue to be with us, and we can feel that love that they once gave us. And so that is the end of our story. I want to say thank you for those who expressed their emotions and have talked about this as death. And so I want to remind you that if you're feeling very sad, you can always talk to an adult, whether that's your parents or your teachers or your school counselor, whoever you feel comfortable talking about. And if you don't feel comfortable yet, that's okay as well. You will get to that point. And I enjoyed reading the story with you, and I hope that you feel better if you are going through this process of death. Bye.